Wow, what a game last night. You know, the Sounders had many chances to win that game. In my honest opinion, that game should not have ended in a draw. The Sounders had at least two chances to score in the first half. And I believe they had two more chances, like 2 to 3 more chances again in the second half. They should at least scored 4 to 5 goals in that game last night. However, there's some much need of improvement, even though they were able to get away with a draw. I mean, in my opinion, if they're playing a much better team, they would have lost that game because they were flat in the second half. Like they ended the first half really strong, and then the second half it just looked like they came off flat. And they needed that foul in the penalty box late in the game in order to get that penalty kick, which helped them to tie the game. But they just looked flat. But thankfully, they got away with the draw. In my opinion, Puma should have won that game. Puma looked like the better team on that field last night, just from what I saw. And now, maybe this was because Seattle was playing on the road. Maybe it was also because Puma was playing with a little pride. You know, I think that Puma felt disrespected that they were the underdog. And even though Seattle is the higher level team and Puma is supposed to, even though Seattle is the higher level team in the MLS, based on the MLS side, and Puma is supposedly a lower level team, they're not in the upper echelon of the really good the really good Liga MX teams. It seemed as if Puma believed that Seattle didn't belong on the same field as them. Puma played as if they were the better, they played as if, they viewed themselves as if they were the better team. It was a lot of trash talking. A lot of the Puma players, they just looked really confident. Puma really played like they believe that they are the better team, and they played like they believe they're going to win this tournament overall. And this serves as a bigger indictment in the issue that the MLS has with its continental global perception. The perception still exists that the MLS is not a strong competitive league. If a lower level Liga MX team, such as Puma, believes that they are 10 times better than you, they believe that one of the top teams in your league do not belong on the same field as theirs, the perception still exists that the MLS is a weak league. And this is why I continue to say that this CONCACAF tourney from here on out, in the 2020s, in the 2030s, in the 2040s, in the 2050s, this is bigger than any single MLS club, which is why I have a message for Sounders fans. Now, Sounders fans, I know that you're a prideful, proud bunch, and I know you really love your team. But this CONCACAF tourney is not only about you. As I've continued to preach ever since Seattle beat NYC FC in the semifinals, Sounders, this is bigger than you. Yes, you are important in this because we need our prestigious teams representing the MLS on the national stage. Because when our prestigious teams are on the national stage winning and dominating in continental matchups, it helps the league grow even more. It helps solidify the legitimacy that the MLS is growing into a serious, competitive professional league. I see a lot of Sounders fans saying that they are going to be, if the Sounders win against Puma next week, a lot of Sounders fans saying they're going to be the first MLS team to ever win a CONCACAF championship. That is a lie. That is not the case. This current iteration of the CONCACAF Cup, it was just rebranded in 2008, the 2008-2009 season. It was rebranded. It is still a CONCACAF sanctioned tournament. It is not a brand new tournament that's separated from CONCACAF. Therefore, it is still CONCACAF, regardless if it's rebranded and the style has changed. It is still CONCACAF. DC United was the first MLS team to win a CONCACAF League tournament in 1998. Then it was the LA Galaxy in 2000. If the Seattle Sounders win next Wednesday, they are going to be the third MLS team to win a CONCACAF League tournament. Sounders fans, this is not about you. This is about the state of the MLS. The MLS needing its respect. If the Sounders win, you will be the third MLS team to win a CONCACAF League tourney. However, you will be the first MLS team to win the CONCACAF tourney ever since it was rebranded in the 08-09 season. So please stop saying you're going to be the first ever MLS team to win a CONCACAF League tournament. That is false. And that is not the point. Listen, Sounders fans, you do not want to alienate yourself from the rest of the MLS. You do not want to alienate yourself from the rest of the MLS fan base. When it comes to CONCACAF tourney, when it comes to any continental or global tournament, we need all hands on deck. Everybody needs to come together and support. The reason why everybody's supporting the Sounders right now, because the Sounders is representing the MLS. This is bigger than the Sounders. This is bigger than the MLS. This is about the state of American football, American soccer. And you're playing against a Pumas team who is not on the top level. It's not the higher echelons of Liga MX clubs. It's somewhere between, it's like an average. It's not a bad Liga MX club. It's average. So you have an average Liga MX club thinking that they are far more superior to a high-level MLS club. You have an average Liga MX club thinking that a high-level MLS club is inferior. This is why this CONCACAF tourney is bigger than the Sounders. It's time for the MLS to get its respect. And the only way the MLS is going to get its respect is by winning these type of games. You get your stamp of approval as a legitimate, serious professional league by winning these type of tournaments. Not coming in second place, not just making it to the semifinals, not only making it to the finals. You have to make it to the finals and win it all. Another thing I didn't like what I saw from the game, the Sounders didn't look too aggressive. Pumas looked more like the aggressive team. Maybe because they're at home, Puma was at home, and they had a loud fan base, singing all game long. I really like that fan base. That's one of the coolest fan base in all of sports. The way they're just singing and chanting all night long, I really like that. I think that's pretty cool. As a result of that, I believe Puma fed off of that. This is why Sounders officials and MLS in general is calling out the whole city of Seattle, the whole state of Washington. Because if the Sounders have that same kind of support next Wednesday, I believe they're going to play better. They're going to play a little more passion, a little more aggression. Now, here is a possibility as to why the Sounders looked flat, why the Sounders didn't look energetic. Remember that video that I did about where I talked about altitude and playing in altitude and how playing in altitude affects your body? Do you know that the altitude in Mexico City is higher than Denver? The altitude in Mexico City is higher than Denver, Colorado. The altitude in Mexico City is higher than Salt Lake City, higher than Colorado Springs, higher than El Paso, higher than Albuquerque. The elevation in Mexico City is 7,349 feet. 7,349 feet tall. High. That is the altitude in Mexico City. So if a typical MLS team struggles with the air and during a Colorado Rapids game or a real Salt Lake game, you know they are definitely going to struggle with the air quality playing in Mexico City, because the altitude in Mexico City is way higher than those two cities. So maybe that's a possibility as to why they just seem so flat, as to why they didn't seem so energetic. And then I question, how soon did they get there? Did they get there a week in advance, a couple of days in advance? Now, granted, they just came off a regular season MLS game, or that's fine. Anyways, I'm not going to get too much into that. They left with a draw. They looked flat because they were playing in altitude. They returned home to Seattle, and they should be a little more energetic. But let me tell you about altitude teams teams that play in altitude and when they play on the road. Those teams usually move faster. Those teams usually have a lot of energy too. Because if you're a team like Puma and you see how fast and energetic they were in altitude, when they leave altitude, playing in lower elevations, they move much faster. Because if you can play at a high level in thin air for a period of time, when you go to a location where you have more air, oh man, the game is much more easier. Your body feels much more better. Your lungs are much more free to breathe. So just because the Sounders are going to be at home, and just because Puma is leaving altitude, doesn't mean they're going to play any worse. Doesn't mean the level of play is going to slow down. This is why it was very crucial for the Sounders to leave Mexico City with either a draw or a win. And they did it. It was sloppy. It was rainy. The air quality was poor. You could barely breathe, but they did it. And the thing that I liked about the Sounders last night, they were resilient. They found a way to win. When you're playing in a tough city like Mexico City, in a high altitude, thin air city like Mexico City, and you're playing against a Liga MX team that has no respect for you whatsoever, for you to get out of there with a draw in the tough conditions that you're in, that is a win for Seattle. Now, you return back home next Wednesday, and you got to get the job done. Remember, Sounders, this is bigger than you. This is not only about you. The state of American traditional football is in your hands. You, Sounders, are leading the destiny. You, Sounders, with this win, not only will you cement yourself as the most prestigious football team in America, but you are leading the charge of an American soccer renaissance, an MLS where people will not overlook and scoff upon as an amateur league, but a league that is tough, competitive, legitimate, and will beat you anywhere, anytime, any day.